So discretionary money is not available with a large number of the middle class, and they're in deep pain. And I think they're very angry and upset. And tax terrorism is rampant in industry. Disputes have gone up from 4.5 lakh crores in 2014 to 12.5 lakh crores in 2024 as per the budget figures. And there's no ease of doing business along with that. I think we got to rejig the tax slab. Chidambaram gave us 3 slabs. Nirmala Sitharaman made it 7, she made it 5, 6. They should have fiddled with the slabs and do the small things. Very irritating. In this country, 1 billion people live on less than $1,000 a year. The balance, 400 million live on $6,000. That's about 3.4 trillion, right? And out of that 400 million, 100 million get more than $10,000, and the 300 million get $5,000. And if you add it up again, 3.5 if you segment it. So the pain is largely in the 400 million people who are the middle class. We're putting this silly popcorn tax. Remember, 3 different kinds of popcorn with this. Finance Minister spent a lot of time explaining why the popcorn tax. It is ridiculous. You know, the biggest failure has been the tax authorities are extortionist in their approach. That's the nature of the beast. And what is so big about reducing GST on medical insurance for 60 people above 60? What is the big deal? It's a very simple matter which can be finished in one day. They're going round and round and harassing us. There is great anger. The anger is simmering because in the last 10, 12 years, the middle class has borne the burden of all the taxes, burden of all the changes. The quality of our life is poor. In many cities, we can't even breathe fresh air. There's a failure. But there's the water is difficult. Traffic jams are there because they're not invested in public transport. Where is public transport? People buy cars. There are no roads in Bangalore. Roads are all potholed. We don't have enough buses. I mean, crazy.
And also the problem is, Mr. Pai, middle class is getting nothing for it. And as a consequence, we're seeing anybody who possibly can is moving to places like the Middle East and other countries.
Yeah, they're growing and they want to leave the country, and many want to go abroad, take the first chance. I mean, see, we have created a high-cost economy for the middle class, and we keep on subsidizing the poor. I'll give you free food, I'll give you free gas, I'll give you a free house, I'll give you everything free, blah, 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 because, you know, they are the voting class. Doing this is not the solution beyond upon 9 lakh crores. Government of India is 4 lakh crores. I think Karnataka is close to 1 lakh crore. Tamil Nadu is 1 lakh 40,000 crores. Maharashtra is close to 80,000 crores. I mean, look at that. Everybody is giving.
Mr. Pai, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time and talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, first things first, you recently posted on Twitter, now X, that you'd like to see Budget 2025 as a year of big reforms. And you also said that the middle class has been suffering. This is something which we also talked about last year. Between last year and now, do you think things have improved? And if not, then what would you like the finance minister to do this year? Because we've been hearing a lot of complaints from the middle class, especially on taxes, and other things.
Well, let me start off by saying what the big picture should be for the country. We must remember we are in the 11th year of the Narendra Modi regime. The first 10 years have been very transformative. And I personally feel Narendra Modi is the most successful Prime Minister of India for a very important reason. The biggest challenge for India since independence has been the poverty and deprivation of our people. What Narendra Modi has done in the first 10 years is to make sure almost all Indians have the bare necessities of life, a roof over the head, water in the tap, power in the switch, a gas stove in the house, food on the table, a bank account, money in the bank, a mobile phone, internet connection, education for children, and a health insurance. And he has made sure that all these things are available to the largest number of Indians ever in our history. So I think most people don't have deprivation, they have sustenance. And I think now they're very different people, so they'll demand more. And the focus, therefore, on this budget should be on jobs, jobs, and jobs. Every year, about 2.5 crore young people for the next 15, 20 years will attain the age of 21. We need at least 2 crore jobs for those entering the workforce. You see in the labor survey which says that there are 45% of the working population in agriculture, with 63% of them being women, whereas the men is coming down. So women are joining the workforce in larger number, but in agriculture, because they're being left behind as the men migrate. We have to create good quality jobs all over. So we have to focus on jobs, jobs, and jobs. And for that, what we need to do is to declare the 400 poorest districts of India as special employment zones. Anybody starting enterprise and hiring a person should be given an incentive of 2,000 rupees a month for the first 24 months, with the employee's share of ESI PF being paid by the government, as done in the Kaushal scheme right now, which will be very important because jobs have to be created where people are. And if we're able to create labor intensive jobs in the 400 poorest districts, then I think we can also become a major exporting nation in labor intensive industries, which is required because China is vacating the field and we can get in the field in a very big way. Second, what we need is an urbanization program because urbanization creates concentration of human activity. Concentration of human activity creates specialization. Specialization creates productivity, and higher productivity leads to higher income. And it can only happen if you invest in the small towns. So we must pick up the 5,000 small census towns. There's something called census towns. In census, they classified as towns in the last census. Pick them up and invest 20, 30 crores a year along with the state government so that you build the infrastructure, and most of them will be in the poorer districts, and these can be developed so that people don't have to commute more than 8 to 10 kilometers in the villages to work, and these can be engines of growth because urbanization creates a large amount of jobs. I think these are two big things that need to be done to improve jobs for everybody, and we must also promote high-tech industry at the top of the pyramid to improve the quality of jobs. The third important thing I would say before I come to the middle class is to improve the justice system. We have a broken justice system. The biggest failure of Indian democracy in the last 77 years of freedom has been the fact that the justice system has not delivered. And has not delivered the 5 crore cases in the courts. It takes 15, 20 years, and people are losing hope in a justice system. If justice is not given on time, then our democracy will be in deep danger because people will not respect the rule of law. And the rule of law has to be respected for all of us. We only have 20 judges per million population. We need to go to 50. We need to building public prosecutors. We need forensic experts. We need forensic labs. And we need a lot of infrastructure for all the new courts, judges houses, so that we can expand the capacity to 50 and deliver justice in 2 to 3 years. Government needs to adopt a litigation policy so they don't go on appealing. For every frivolous thing, you've seen them going on appealing to Supreme Court. Supreme Court has clamped down to say they're not going to hear small matters, only important matters. I think is important. All these things have to be done as part of a program for the next 3 to 5 years. It has to be a national endeavor. And then we come to the middle class. Since I spoke to you last time, the middle class has got deeper into trouble, primarily because of many reasons. One, EMI has gone up. EMI has gone up. So there are 1.2 crore people with housing loans, maybe 1.5 crore people with other kind of loans, and they're paying much more money for EMI. And the income has not gone up in the same pace the EMI has gone up, was one. Second, inflation is up, though I must say the middle class does not spend so much money on food. It's the lower middle class that spends more money on food, but inflation nevertheless is biting them. And the third thing is, very importantly, school fees and college fees have gone up. They've gone up by 40 to 60% in the last 3 years. And if you are a middle class person with 2 kids, you have to pay for the school fees, and school fees have gone up, and you pay them out of after tax income, you are in deep trouble. So discretionary money is not available with a large number of the middle class, and they're in deep pain. And I think they're very angry and upset that over the last 4 years, tax collection of individuals has gone up from 4,95,000 crores to this year 24-25, based on estimates, maybe 12.5 lakh crores. It's gone up by maybe 150, 160%. And this year, income tax collection gross is going up by 21% plus, net by 16%, because they're giving huge refunds for all the past sins. And tax terrorism is rampant in industry. Disputes have gone up from 4.5 lakh crores in 2014 to 12.5 lakh crores in 2024 as per the budget figures. And the government has tried to stem the flow of stem tax terrorism by doing many things, but 97% of people get the refunds. But industry is suffering the brunt of tax terrorism, and there's no ease of doing business along with that. I think that's very important. And as far as the industry is concerned, I think we must have a check on the regulatory agencies. What the Narendra Modi government has done is they don't interfere with, from what I know, please pardon me, for income tax rates, CBR rates, and ED rates. But all these agencies have to be reined in, and they must perform. While they got freedom to do what they want, and they go raid, and many of them do it very wrongly. Before they announce, they whisper to the media, we're going to raid this, create fear. Then you know what happens when people are scared. They start talking, and you know what happens then. And then they go raid somebody and say, we got 2,000 crores, 3,000 crores, all kind of numbers, and the names are defamed. And then when they go to court, mostly it's thrown out. Where 70% of cases of income tax rates are thrown out. And I think it's important not to defame people, not to create an element of fear. 55,000 HNIs have left India, as per some reports, for the last 10 years. And about 2.5, 3 lakh crore of purchasing power have left this country. We don't want people to leave this country, especially HNIs who pay heavy tax. And the element of fear has to go away. We have not seen government do many things to remove this element of fear. In the UPA era, when there's a raid, you could go to the minister, talk to him, and get it done. Settle it with the minister, right? Here, you can't do it with any minister because the ministers are very scared that somebody is watching them and nobody wants to interfere. So we are in trouble. And the next important thing that we have to do is to make sure that we take care of our senior citizens. You'll be very surprised. We have 13 crore people above the age of 60 today. You'll go to 20 crores. And we have to make sure slowly we build a social security system for the age in terms of medical insurance, which the insurance GST is still going on and on and on and on. It is terrible. They are debating the popcorn tax, but not reducing GST on health insurance for senior people. And we must build in social security and pensions for the age so that over a period of 15, 20 years, they can have a decent life. So I think we need large structural reforms of this nature to take us forward, especially focusing on jobs, because the next election in 2029 is going to be fought on jobs and urban areas. With the delimitation and the censors, more power is going to urban areas, and urban areas require more jobs. I think we're going to see a shift in our domestic politics. We have to prepare for that. And Narendra Modi has had 10, 11 years, and it's time he goes for the great leap forward to do all this thing. And just yesterday we saw the Trump inauguration, and today morning we saw a report. They're going to invest $500 billion on AI. $500 billion.
Right.
Where are we?
Right.
We are importing chips. We are getting
So
shut
it's
down.
time
We
for
don't
Modi
have more
government
capacity.
after 11 years in power. After 11 years in power, it's time for Modi government to go for that big leap, because what we also saw when Trump took charge, he signed a whole bunch of executive orders and brought in some radical changes in a lot of areas, all in with a single stroke of pen while talking to the media, right? And you talked about the big picture. Thank you so much for painting that comprehensive big picture for all of us in terms of what the country should be focusing on. Now let's talk about some of the specific issues in that big picture. And one of those specific elements is, of course, the distress among the middle classes, because on one hand, we're talking about, the issues related to job creation. Then we're talking about inflation. And then, of course, when you look at the condition of the middle class, from whatever stories we have done, the comments, the questions that we get, this seems to be, a big theme, tax relief. And of course, there are stories which are coming out that Finance Minister during the budget could also focus on, reforming the tax laws. Tax laws are old and she's perhaps looking to simplify them. But what do you see happening as far as, the tax laws are concerned? And what kind of relief can middle class expect and demand from the Finance Minister?
Look, we have to see where the pain is. So I think we got to rejig the tax slab. Chidambaram gave us 3 slabs. Nirmala Sitharaman made it 7. She made it 5, 6. They should have fiddled with the slabs and do the small things. Very irritating, because the tax slab should be such that you could wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and remember them. It's got to be simple. Right. So I think we need 0 to 5 no tax, because only about 45% of people who file returns pay tax. 0 to 5 no tax. 5 to 10, 10%. 10 to 20, 20%. And about 20 could be 30%, with surcharge kicking in at maybe 50 lakhs. And the relief will come largely in the 10 to 20, because up to 10, the tax is not too high. And there should be no deductions except 80D for medical insurance, which is very important because the health system, public health system, is a gross failure largely. And 2 for charity for 80G. No other deductions, and make it in lieu of the alternative system that we have today with those 5, 6 slabs. Do this. That will give a relief, I think, about 30 to 40,000 rupees or maybe 50,000 rupees to everybody in the tax slab of 10 to 20 lakhs, because the pain is the largest there. Because up to, and then don't compel people to file returns unless they have a refund up to 5 lakhs. This year, we already got about 8.6 crore returns. And if 4.5 crore don't pay tax, why are you making them file returns? They may not even have refunds because the threshold is so low. And people all over crib and say, oh, this is much more than the per capita income, etc. Per capita income this year, 25, it will be about 2,35,000 rupees. But please remember, in this country, 1 billion people live on less than $1,000 a year. The balance 400 million leave on $6,000. That's about 3.4 trillion, right? And out of that 400 million, 100 million get more than $10,000, and the 300 million get $5,000. And if you add it up again, 3.5 if you segment it. So the pain is largely in the 400 million people who are the middle class, and there in the top 60%, not the top 10%, below that 60% in the middle, that is where the pain is. Because they are the people who buy a house, who are consumers, who buy a car, who send children to school, and you must encourage people in that thing. Why are we burdening them with more and more taxes? We're putting this silly popcorn tax. Remember, 3 different kinds of popcorn with this. Finance minister spent a lot of time explaining why that popcorn tax. It is ridiculous. You know, the biggest failure has been the tax authorities are extortionist in their approach. That's the nature of the beast. All tax collection globally is extortion in a different way. They use the power of the state to twist your finger to collect more money. You can't blame them because that's the nature of the beast. Our political leaders should protect us from this kind of thing. If the tax authority recommend we have 3 tax rates for popcorn, popcorn which is not sealed, popcorn open, all kind of stuff, chocolate popcorn and all that, it leads to confusion. Even though they said we're clarifying what has been confusing earlier, why not have one and make it simple? The political leaders have to step in. What did the 29th finance minister do in the GST meeting? Were they twiddling the thumbs, watching the officials come and recommend and they all put the chapa? I mean, are they not educated? Are they not a representative? They should speak up and stop it. And what is so big about reducing GST on medical insurance for 60 people above 60? What is the big deal? It's a very simple matter which can be finished in one day. They're going round and round and round and round and harassing us. What kind of a tax system is it that is becoming deemed as extortionist by people, middle class people who pay the taxes? And today you'll be very surprised. 9 lakh crore is the subsidy given to the bottom 60% of people. 9 lakh crores. All states are giving free money. Everybody's giving money. Who is paying for that? This 12.5 lakh crores of taxes, that is income tax. Corporate tax is another about 10 lakh crores or 11 lakh crores. And then GST today across the country is 21 lakh crores. And in GST, the middle class pays the bigger amount because they are consuming the things on which there is GST. About 50-60% of items don't have GST, with the lower classes and the poor will possibly consume. But the middle classes consume the greater amount. You look at a car, 50% of the cost of the car is taxes, including road tax, right? Anything you buy, look at a fridge, 28%. Cement is 28%. Is cement a luxury for housing? It deemed to be luxury. Two-wheeler, 28%. Two-wheeler, we sell 21 million two-wheelers every year. Everybody requires the two-wheeler, but it tax them 28%. And 28% refrigerator, air conditioning, AC cost 25,000 rupees on that 28%. 28%, stay in Delhi without an AC and you see how you suffer. AC is required productivity. It become a cheap product, but you levy tax. Because why? AC is luxury. And our political leaders live in government bungalows with AC. Parliament has got AC. We pay for it. But for them to tax it is a luxury. It's totally absurd. This whole concept of luxury and all that is totally absurd. Barring a few limited items, they should not put all that. So I think the political leadership in taxes let us down. They must put their foot down and say, we want a simple system, fewer rates, and we want to do things good for the people. And in popcorn, how much tax will you collect? 300 crores, 400 crores, 500 crores. When you're collecting 21 lakh crores, does it make a difference? But the harassment is so much.
The harassment is so much. And, one thing which you also briefly touched upon is housing. Now, when it comes to deductions for housing, they're rather big, but very few people are capable of and able.
4 crore people, I'll give you data, 4 crore people pay taxes. 4 crore, 4.5 crores. Yeah. Maybe 1 crore take the tax deduction. And then they say, we're giving you all this tax deduction and, you don't pay tax, but doesn't apply to everybody. It will apply to everybody. So the best thing is no deduction, expand the slab so people have money in the hand. When you have money in the hand, you decide whether you want to buy an insurance policy, you want to buy a mutual fund, what do you want to do? And whether you want to go for a holiday, let them decide. People are wise enough to decide, right? Why should government force you to do certain things saying, oh, you save tax? And there's a chimera. They give this tax break. Few people use it and say, oh, for everybody, you don't have to pay tax, you're doing this. I mean, come on, we are not foolish. People see through all these things. There is great anger. The anger is simmering because in the last 10, 12 years, the middle class has borne the burden of all the taxes, burden of all the changes. The quality of our life is poor. In many cities, we can't even breathe fresh air. There's a failure. It may not be anything to do with Narendra Modi and the union government, but the water is difficult. Traffic jams are there because we're not invested in public transport. Where is public transport? People buy cars. There are no roads in Bangalore. Roads are all potholed. We don't have enough buses. I mean, crazy, right? The wealth comes from
And
urban
the problem
areas,
is
and the
also,
choking
and
and the
also the
choking the
problem
most.
is, Mr. Pai,
Yeah.
middle class is getting nothing for it. And as a
Yes.
consequence, we're seeing anybody who possibly can is moving to places like the Middle East and other countries.
Yeah, they're growing and they want to leave the country, and many want to go abroad, take the first chance. We got about 1.12 lakh young people studying outside. About 80% of them are studying outside to get a job there and stay there, not to come back. And parents are selling land and pushing them outside because they're losing faith in this country because of all this, because the quality of life has come down. Narendra Modi promised us to improve the quality of life, but the quality of life has come down. Not because maybe due to him, because he doesn't run the cities, he doesn't run the states. But overall, when we sit back and see, has our life improved in the last 10 years? What do you say? Our air has become foul, water has become scarce. We spend more time sitting in traffic in our cities. The roads are bad, right? And the stress levels have gone up. Our health is going down. What are we getting? And that's why I'm telling you, in the future, we must focus on urban areas. The urban areas are the biggest engines of growth. That's where the productivity comes, taxes come. You must focus on urban areas. You must have a large urban area program driven by the center. The smart city is very good, but the smart city missed crucial things that are required. It's not about technology. We want public transport. Urban areas need public transport. We got 1,000 kilometers of metro, another 1,000 getting built. It must go to 5,000. Bangalore requires 500 kilometers of metro. Delhi requires 1,000. Bombay requires 1,000. We must plan for it and build it over the next 5 to 7 years. And we need to improve the speed of trains. I mean, you go to China, you can travel at 350 kilometers. You go to another city, it takes 1 hour. Here, 350 kilometers takes 5 hours, 6 hours. And the Vande Bharat is very good, only goes at 85 kilometers an hour. So why are we not speeding up between intercities so that we can improve the quality of life? Because the most important asset for you and me is time. Time is important. You spend all the time sitting on the road, going to the airport, sitting with the lousy security in the airport where they harass you and they open your bag, check it. You see how they operate. There's no customer service there, right? There's no customer service.
Now,
The airports are
another
crowded.
problem. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but since we have a limited time, I want to get in as many questions as possible. So quickly, Mr. Pai, another problem which the finance minister need to deal with and solve is, of course, boosting the consumption. And that can happen by ensuring that there is more money in the hands of people. One way to do that is, of course, to revise the tax slabs. And what are some of the other ways through which the finance minister can ensure that there is more money in the hands of people and this entire problem of consumption slowing down can be addressed?
Look, interest rates have to come down. Let me explain the problem to you. We have some 7-8 billion people sitting and spending 2 days debating every 2 months how to raise interest rates. And what is the cause of inflation? Food inflation. What is the cause of food inflation? Vegetables, which are going up at 21%. And vegetables and food has a 46% weight in the CPI because they're based on the weights of 2011-12. 2011-12, per capita income was 70,000 rupees. Last year, it was 211,000. The weights have not come down. The new consumption survey says weights have to come to 35%. So if tomato, onion, and potato prices, like Van said, tops, Ananta Nageshwaran call it tops, they don't respond to interest rates. They're all supply oriented. And core inflation is 2.5%, 3%. But we got an interest rate by the RBI of 6.5% is very high. And the interest rates are too high. And MSME borrows at 12 to 16%. These are usurious rates. And the cost goes up everywhere because remember, we have large borrowings in the economy. Cost goes up, both personal loans and others. So we have to reduce the interest rates. And the RBI is just refusing because saying inflation is high. They're calculating inflation based on 2011-12 weights. I mean, for the poor, they get free food, they get everything else. And the consumption survey shows that the impact of all that is quite significant for them. And for the rest of us, we don't spend so much time, so much money on, buying tomato, onion, and vegetable prices, right? For us, rental and, school fees are important. Education has become the biggest challenge for the middle class. You send a son to college for STEM, it costs 4 to 5 lakhs. You send it to that fancy social science university in Delhi, 12, 14 lakhs a year, I think, right? You go for an MBA course 2 years, 25 lakhs. 25 lakhs. Because everybody will become machinery. You go to an MBA, spend 25 lakhs. What you want is placement. You sell yourself to the highest bidder, right? And no, you want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
50 lakhs to 1 crore. 50 lakhs to 1 crore. If you have to pay, where's the money
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
middle class? Who has said 50 lakhs to 1 crore
A,
for a
where's the
child?
money? Right, right. A, where's the money for that? And then
Yeah,
even the jobs that you get after completing
yeah,
those courses, you get like
yeah.
3, 4, 5 lakhs per annum.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, see, we have created a high cost economy for the middle class, and we keep on subsidizing the poor. I'll give you free food, I'll give you free gas, I'll give you a free house, I'll give you everything free, blah, 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 because, they are the voting class. See, this is a function of the
Yeah.
skewed system of voting where the rural areas have a disproportionate weight in the voting pattern because we are stuck based upon the 2000, I think 1991 census for 30 years. Remember that, okay?
Yeah.
1991 census for 30 years. Now 30 years have come, we need the new census and political power will shift when this happens and we are paying the price. With urban areas create taxes, middle class pay taxes, they take taxes, pour it down the big dark hole. I'm not against the rural poor. We should give them. But we should do it very differently. Doing this is not the solution beyond upon 9 lakh crores. Government of India is 4 lakh crores. I think Karnataka is close to 1 lakh crore. Tamil Nadu is 1 lakh 40,000 crores. Maharashtra is close to 80,000 crores. I mean, look at that. Everybody is giving. I'll give Delhi, they're saying, I'll give 2,500 rupees to every woman. I'll give you free gas. I'll give you free this. Whose money is that? Whose money is that?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are not paying. The beneficiaries are not paying the taxes. You and I are paying the tax. And what do we get in return? Nothing. Are we not citizens of this country? We should also get
And all that
something.
middle
Yes.
class can do, all that middle class can do is watch Aam Aadmi Party say, I'll give women 2,100 rupees. BJP say that we will pay you 2,500 rupees, and the Congress say the same, right? So middle class is just watching from the distance. But apart from that, Mr. Pai, I also want to talk to you a little bit about the markets. January has been brutal. The amount of selling which has come in as far as FII is concerned has crossed 50,000 gross. And with Trump coming in, this exodus of capital which is happening from the markets is only likely to increase. At least that is what the experts are saying. So going forward, what do you think is happening in the markets, and what can the government do to ensure that this money which has been going out of the market can start perhaps coming back?
Well, I think the government cannot do much. The government can give a good budget because now remember that one revenue secretary said, oh, we want to bring the capital gains to normal tax. Why talk like that? Why create fear? See, let's remember one thing. Investors don't trust the government of India because they got a nasty habit of doing retrospective amendment. That indexation with the removal cost Maruti Suzuki some 800 crores. And they're saying in Delhi, it is not retrospective, it is retrospective. They promise they will not do, they need to stop it. Who will trust the government? Who will trust the government? So every time some secretary makes a remark like that, everybody gets scared. Tax will go up, this will go up, and they start selling and get out of this country because they believe that there's no trust. We have to build trust. Any tax law should be prospective, not retrospective. That should be the policy of the government. They announced it in parliament, but they break it because they don't seem to understand. They don't seem to understand at all about that indexation. They came with some crazy rates. Remember that real estate is going up 11 to 12% a year in value. It has not gone up. They give some dumb data to the finance minister to justify what they want. Finance minister doesn't check up. They must check up independently. These people give something, they take it as gospel truth and go ahead and do it. Why all this secrecy in the budget? Why should budgets be secret? They should have known this is the tax change we're going to bring in the next 1 year. Be more transparent. There's no transparency in the budget. There will be more transparency. What is there? The money belongs to us. They're all fiduciary agents. So I think the key market is going down because one, there's global uncertainty because of high interest rates in the US. 10-year bond rate is 4.5. The people rather put money there on a risk-free basis rather than put money into emerging markets and go through all these hassles to earn maybe 10, 11%. That's one. And two, because the interest rates are remained high, money is going back. Three, the Indian markets were deemed overpriced based on a comparative basis. Now the PE for the market has come down. And fourth, they say there is no growth happening in the country. And here again, there's a mess up. You see, if you look at the growth, consumption in the first 6 months has gone up by 7%. Okay? That's pretty good. But they didn't spend the money they budgeted for capex. In the first quarter, they didn't spend because of election. In the second quarter, they say rain, and they should spend that money. They should monitor the money and spend it. And in the second quarter, you'll notice the important thing. RBI had a tight money policy, and government kept a lot of money in deposits with RBI. They didn't release the money into the in the market. They kept the money there, and the money became very tight. And even now, there's a shortage of money because the outflow of this money that's going out. But the government of India, fortunately, has lesser balances, releasing money to the states and others because now they're scared they'll not be able to spend the capital expenditure budgeted. The fiscal debt is this year for the first 8 months is lower than the previous 8 months. Is lower
Right.
in absolute amount and as a percentage is lower. And they're saying, oh, we'll have a better fiscal deficit. Man, you got to spend money, release the money. So the money improves, the velocity of circulation improves, and do all the thing, which is important to review growth. Because, if you don't spend capex, government is the last spender of capex, 11 lakh crores this year. If you don't spend enough for the first quarter, then growth comes down. And suddenly growth comes down by 0.5% because you're not spend the money. The whole world says, oh, growth is over because nobody wants to get into details. You understand? Top lines are important.
Right.
So I think they must learn to manage the economy better.
Right. Learn to manage the economy better. I also want to talk to you about the IT industry, Mr. Pai. So if you could for a while talk to us about what the IT industry is going to look like, because there is this fear that with the AI coming in, a lot of jobs are going to go away. As far as the IT services sector is concerned in the country, and that being one of the biggest employers. What are you seeing is going to happen in that sector?
IT industry this year is hiring more compared to what we are thinking in the beginning of the year because they're losing people. And when they have attrition of 12-13% on a high base, it means people are going elsewhere and getting jobs. The jobs are being created elsewhere, right? Let's remember that. They're hiring more freshers. And now they're working at 85-86% utilization. So they're almost full up. You see, AI...
But the entry-level salaries are still
Yes.
quite bad.
They're exploiting the entry level. I've been talking about exploiting people because they're surplus labor. They're desperate young people who are getting educated who want to come and work. They're exploiting it, which is very unethical, which is not correct, against what the industry stands for. You're given the CEO of 50 crores, 60 crores, 70 crores, whereas you're getting 8-10 crores maybe 7-8 years back. Now you don't want to pay the freshers. I think it's terrible. This is not the way for the industry to lead the country. And I think they're doing it very wrongly. And all of us should stand up and show their faces to them in the mirror. I think it's important. But as far as hiring is concerned, hiring outlook is much better this year than last year. And next year will be much better because there will be some growth. I think with Trump coming in, people will start spending money on AI. But remember, if you want to do AI in the Western markets, you got to hire data scientists, not available. You got to hire people to test and do it, not hire. The work will come to India. I firmly believe that the work will come to India, jobs will shrink in America. For example, the Goldman Sachs said 95% of the prospector DHRP can be done by AI. We need only 5%, right? But there's all local jobs. The technology jobs will come here as people shift to AI first because they have to do it. The people are here with the largest number of trained people in use of AI. We're building vertical AI models, and the controversy about LLMs and vertical AI models, which is different. And I think more jobs will come. The job losses will be in the West because the biggest benefits are there in the West. You're paying somebody $150,000 and you can use an AI to replace it at a cost of $30,000, you'll do it, right? The biggest ROI. Because here what you pay is very small compared to what you pay there. So I think productivity gains because of AI for the service companies will be maybe 10-12% a year. And the productivity gains will lead to larger number of projects coming and spending. The key was that last 2 years, spending from the West didn't go up. People did not spend as much money. Now they're beginning to spend because the economic certainty is there. Trump has come back. And Trump is investing hugely. The Ukraine war may be settled very soon. Middle East war may be settled. I think the things are getting much, much better. And that will drive growth. So certainly, I believe that next year, the growth will be better than this year.
Yeah, I think what you're saying makes sense because, just a few weeks ago, Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce, said that this year, Salesforce is not planning to hire any software engineers in the US because the productivity increase augmented by AI tools has, given them that option. So they're not going to do it. And perhaps that's going to be the trend as far as the industry is concerned and the US. But also, before I let you go, I quickly want to ask you, last year when we, spoke about the budget and your expectation from the finance minister, you were a bit angry at the finance minister, although you said the Modi government has done well on a lot of fronts. There's so much more that the finance minister needs to do. So this year, if there was, this one thing that you wanted to communicate to the finance minister, what is that going to be? What is your message to her going to be? And that's my last question to you.
My message is going to be focus on job creation and focused on keeping cash in the hands of the consuming class, the middle class. Give succor to the middle class. They have been the supporters. I tweeted and told the Prime Minister, the middle class have been the supporters. When Modi came to Bangalore, in Malleshwaram, which is the heart of Bangalore, I saw people aged 50 to 60 stand there for 2 or 3 hours to wave to him. Never seen it before in my life. When Indira Gandhi came, nobody bothered. Nobody bothered there in that area, the conservative area, richly middle class. They were sitting, waving. I mean, they were in raptures looking at Modi, and Modi was waving. They're all supporters. What are you doing for them? Take care of them. They're the ones who voted you to power. Bangalore voted largely BJP. And what did we get? Nothing, nothing. Our chief minister has taken our money, give after doles to others. Corruption has increased in Karnataka at the industrial level now. Industrial level. People are investing money to buy posts and get returns. The crazy system. And we're getting nothing. So everywhere, all over, the middle class who voted, they're feeling let down because they don't see any succor. In the budget last year, they should have done some small things. And I think it's extremely important. Okay.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Pai, for taking the time and talking to us. Of course, we will try and talk to you after the budget as well. And but thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.